Hello, my name's David Dungay and welcome to UC Partner Summit 2022. Today I'm joined by Bertrand from andReach. Welcome to the show, Bertrand. How are you?
Hi, David. Very good. Very glad to be with you today.
Fantastic. Well, today we're going to be talking about differentiation in the partner channel and some of those strategies partners can use to make sure they stand out from the crowd. But before we get into that, Bertrand, could you give us a brief introduction to yourself and andReach?
Yes, with pleasure. So, Bertrand Pourcelot, I'm the managing director of the andReach for Service Provider business unit. So, this is the business unit at andReach dealing with service providers around the globe. I was before the managing director of Sentile, and Sentile joined andReach 4 years ago. andReach was formed together with VoiceWorks, a Dutch company and Swiss German company. And since then, we made about 10 acquisitions to become the leading UCaaS player in Europe. So a very exciting journey. And just a few figures. So we are about 1,100 people at andReach, present in more than 20 countries in Europe. So that's start to be big, at least when I'm thinking about the Sentile history. That's start to be a significant player in the market.
Yeah, lots of evolution there, which is great to see. So, Bertrand, I wanted to start with customer ownership. Obviously, from a channel perspective, this varies from region to region. But when you look at the partner landscape as you see it, is customer ownership still a top priority for partners?
Yes, as you said, there might be variations from geographic regions. I know in the US, a lot of dealers and master distributors, master agents. But in Europe, where we are, I would say, more specialist and specialized we see that it's very important for partners. Partners to be very comfortable. They want to own and the contract. They want to manage the end-to-end customer relationship. So the customer ownership is really important to them. And I think it makes a real lot of sense. If you think about it, companies, end user, of course, they're looking for good products, good solutions, but they're looking for trustworthy advice, consulting services, and someone to talk to. So I think it's very important for the partners to be local, to be specialized, to know well their customers, and how can you do it better than owning the relationship end to end and working with suppliers in the back end? Also, when talking to the partners, some of them have been, I would say, hurted in the past through some frictions by competition with carriers, for example. When you have large carriers, they have their wholesale division, they have their retail division, and a number of partners have good stories, if I can say about it, or rather bad stories. So I think that's in their memories, and they want to be very careful that it doesn't happen to them again. Also, I think the company evaluations these days have a lot to do with the customer ownership. Are you owning the customers? Are you owning the contracts? Or depending on third parties for that? Are you producing your services? But I think we can come back on these topics, which go beyond the pure customer ownership.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're seeing a lot of evolution, which is great. But from a partner perspective, we do see those partners trying to sort of move up the value chain, if you like, a little bit. But for those partners who are trying to, perhaps become resellers, move to that pure reseller model, or move into perhaps the service provider space. What kind of questions do those types of partners need to ask themselves before sort of making that leap?
Yes, indeed. Once you have decided that you want to own the customer relationship, you can be either just a reseller or a full service provider. And the frontiers, I would say, are blurring. And I think the main questions as a partner is, okay, where I want to stand in the value chain, what type of differentiations and customization I want to be able to provide. Do I want to provide my own brand, my own company, or just resell another brand that can impact also the company value? What Am I able to customize my offering in terms of bundling, to create my own packages, or I'm just imposed, I would say, a kind of one-size-fits-all type of package or bundle. Also, I think very key, do I want to be a single service reseller or a pool of heterogeneous services reseller, or do I want to be a multi-service provider, a MSP, aggregating services and providing a consistent one-stop shop? Of course, it's easier said than done. You need the proper BSS and OSS. You need the proper teams. If you sell multiple services, you need the right teams, the right skills. You need to operate these services, provide the right SLA. So I think that's quite a complex analysis, and we really enjoy at andReach having this discussion with the partners. It doesn't, I would say, as said earlier on, as a pure vendor, not having a SaaS offering, not being a service provider in some countries, I would say the choice was easy. We are a pure vendor. Here is our software, Mr. Partner, but we were pushing maybe a bit too much in one direction and pushing some players to go as a full service provider, whereas all the ingredients were not there. So we've learned a lot through that. But now with andReach on the larger size, we are able to, I would say, have a more advisory, consulting approach, telling the partner, okay, what's best suited for you? And maybe you can start one way as a reseller of our SaaS and then become full service provider yourself, or I would say mix and match the solutions using our own BSS with white labeling and branding, or while you build your own. So there's not only one journey and one answer. It really depends on all these criteria that I mentioned.
Yeah, there's a lot to think about there. It's quite a complex sort of question, if you like. One of the channel dynamics that we see time and time again is those partners who have to make the decision: do they sell? Do they go down the white label route and sell their own brands, or do they sell the brands of their vendors? It can cause all sorts of there's all sorts of advantages and disadvantages of doing that. But when it comes to competition, we do see these partners, having to occasionally compete with their own SaaS vendor providers. Do you still see this? Is this still a big challenge for partners? Their vendors selling direct and stepping over them on occasion.
Yeah, as I said, with SaaS and cloud, there's a temptation for vendors in general to try bypass their channels, as the solution is that easier reach and easier to sell and distribute through the cloud and online distribution model or sales model. So partners, I think, are really not comfortable to work with suppliers who also have direct approaches. That's very key. That's very clear. I mean, they just see it as a risk. And why taking this risk? On the other end, if you look at it and take a step back, you also want a strong supplier. You also want a supplier that knows the needs of the end user, so that are close enough to these end users. And when you start to be large enough as a player in the market, very often you start to blend direct and indirect. So I think at the end of the day, partners will likely work with suppliers who also have some direct approaches, at least in some markets. But what's very important is that there is clarity. There are clear rules of engagement. There are also Chinese walls between the wholesale and retail organizations. There is very clear segmentation. Maybe it's geographic. Some countries where channels are not developed, you have some direct go-to-market. In other countries where the channels are more developed, you work preferably with channels. Also, there must be, of course, a very fair pricing approach, transfer pricing to the partners that are not, I would say, undermined by the retail arm of the supplier, for example. and also a clear and right access to innovation, that the partners have same access to innovation as any kind of direct offering, to give a few examples. And I think from an andReach perspective, if you look at the three founding members of andReach, VoiceWorks, Swix, and Centile, the three players were nearly 100%, I would say, indirect players, to service providers, to resellers, to channels, as wholesalers. So I think we've learned a lot about what the channels and the partners expect. And even if in some markets we start to do some direct business, we are very clear with our partners, giving priority to them if there would be some frictions. And I think it's very important. And I also believe that in many cases, we have with the partners the same competitors, which are the incumbent carriers, which are some of the very large giants. So even if we are doing co-competition with these players in the market is huge, and we have to work very hand in hand with the partners to get market share and be successful.
Great. Okay. So the title of this discussion today is it's all about differentiation in the channel partner ecosystem. Where do you see those major opportunities? We've talked about a few of them already, but when it comes to UC, where do you see those major opportunities for partners to really differentiate their offerings?
Yeah. So I would say there are a bit two types. I would say the ones which are more maybe product oriented, with API, with integrations, and so on, and the ones which are more related to the customer knowledge, customer expertise, and being local and having a proximity relationship with the end customer. So I would say first area is, okay, I'm an insider at the customer. I know the customer. I know his processes. I know where he is in his journey, in his digital transformation journey, so I can advise him, I can fulfill his needs and come with the right answer and solution. So that's one. Then there is the need to be able to answer these end user needs with the right solution, and that requires a flexible and agile enough supplier at the back. So using API, doing vertical integration, CRM integration, ERP integrations, and we see more and more of these. Some can be done off the shelf, but very often this requires a partner in the middle to understand, the way the end user, the end customer wants to do it. Because integrations and API, they are like generic words, but at the end, how you want to use it and how you maintain it in time. Because doing an integration once, I would say, is easy. Well, that's some work, but it's easy. But keeping up to date with all the product evolutions, both the CRM evolutions, both the UC solution evolution, and so on, the device evolution, that's really require the right skills and the right understanding of what the customer expects. So as there is no, we always say there is no real one size fits all, there are still commonalities in the end user needs. So it's half right, half wrong. But the partner, the local partner, needs to have this customization power and capabilities. Also, I think a differentiation is on being a one-stop shop. I'm a trustworthy advisor, and I'm your supplier. I'm your consistent supplier. That requires to be somehow big enough, I believe, because how you can be savvy on multiple product, multiple solutions, multiple offering if you're too small. So you need this right blending between, I like to use this expression, like big enough to matter, small enough to care, small enough and local enough to care. And I think it's very important for the channel partners. But a number of these partners, and we are working closely with them, need to do their own transformation, moving from sometimes just a hardware reseller business or software reseller business to a cloud service management and reselling and integration, becoming savvy with API, understanding more how all this can be built, invoiced, ordered, provisioned. So that's a transformation for them. And it's very interesting to work with these partners because they are all different and coming from different angles. They come from IT, they come from software, they come from telecoms, and God knows they come from some verticals as well. And we see some very nice integrations done in the market in the different countries.
I want to pick up on mobile, Bertrand. Obviously, on andReach, you have big mobile play. How important is that going to be? In the next phase of this market evolution, where we're going to see this integration, these APIs, and this next phase, if you like, of communications.
Yeah, I think that we all know that the world is going mobile. More and more, we have, I would say, all our lives, both professional and personal, in the smartphones and in the clouds in general. Even during the pandemic, there has been more and more usage, and we've observed that at our customers and ourselves of mobile usage during this period. Some people could have thought, at home, people have used their own broadband, so less mobile usage. No. Why? Because usage and user experience on the smartphones, on mobiles in general, are very often simpler and easier to use and just better than on other devices, and that's why people use it even at home where they may not need the full mobility aspect of it. So seeing all that, there's no doubt that mobile is key. It's key for all UC players and suppliers like andReach, but also for the partners. What I'm going to do with mobile. Maybe I cannot just compete with the MNOs, so I need really to find some value add. We have huge experience at andReach with fixed mobile convergence, and we like to talk about the converged contact solutions. So by converged is indeed mobile driven, and by contact making it more human, and that's key. That's key for us. So this experience has been built through Sentile. We've been a pioneer with mobile first and FMC, especially Nordics. Nordics are so much advanced on that, but also VoiceWorks, the first full MVNO and the largest in Netherlands. So that's what we leverage to deliver value with fixed mobile convergence on mobile first. And it's very exciting to see that when you apply, I would say, existing or traditional capabilities of fixed UC and you map them to mobile, they become suddenly very innovative. For example, you're not very used to have a custom announcement or professional announcement when you call a mobile number, or having the recording capabilities, or having a CRM integration on your mobile number. And from a company owner perspective, very often you have your salespeople doing their job on the mobile. Out of the, I would say, enterprise systems and environment, you have no information about what's going on. By bringing CRM integration on mobile numbers, suddenly it's hooked into the whole system, and that's part of the digital transformation of the enterprises. So I think that mobile and smartphone and FMC especially can be an extraordinary driver for innovation, and that's really what's exciting with mobile. So yeah, indeed a very important play for mobile, for the UC in general and for the partners.
Yeah, it's another great area where partners can differentiate themselves for sure. Okay, Bertrand, that's all we've got time for, unfortunately, but thank you so much for joining me and sharing your insights.
Thank you very much, David.
And thank you for watching. You've been watching me, David Dungay, at UC Partner Summit 2022. Don't forget you can follow all the action by following the Powering Partners hashtag on social media. Don't forget also to have a look around the show. You can see there's lots of information, lots of other sessions to get involved with. So yeah, lots of tips and hints to pick up to help you on your journey. That's it from me. I'll see you next time.